what's up, KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Although today we are talking about our first MCU movie ever on the channel. We're talking about this guy right here. Now I know this is a little controversial because typically this is a horror movie channel, but I am so effing excited for Spider-Man No Way Home, I have to do a massive video on it. We're gonna get into why I am so excited for this film and why I think it's going to be a freaking masterpiece in just a second, but first I'm gonna need y'all to like this video, subscribe, hit that little notification bell so you get all the kinds of notifications whenever I post and upload about any kind of horror movie news or Spider-Man related news. Also support me on Patreon if you feel like it. The link for that is in the description below. Alrighty, now let's get into it.
What's your favorite scary movie? Name it.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Well, I'm Pennywise the dancing now.
Oh, Lord on the beat!
God, don't do that.
But sometimes death is better.
So before I talk about Spider-Man No Way Home, let's go into a little bit of backstory behind where this thing came from, a little bit of backstory on the MCU. We just got a whole bunch of things to talk about related to Spider-Man first before I can talk about all the juicy good stuff. A new trilogy of MCU Spider-Man films has been planned since 2017 during the production of the first film in the MCU Spider-Man series, Homecoming. Now getting Spider-Man into the MCU was kind of a tricky ordeal for Marvel because technically they don't own Spider-Man anymore, Sony owns that property now, and like all of his villains. So the only way Marvel could get Spider-Man into their cinematic universe was by leasing out the Spider-Man character and all the villains from Sony, who technically owns him. It's kind of messed up if you think about it, considering that like Marvel created Spider-Man and then now Sony owns it, but hey, you know, I digress. At least they're still making Spider-Man movies, that's all I care about. Also, not a diss towards Sony whatsoever, I think they're an awesome company, they make some pretty awesome movies. I just find it kind of strange. Doctor Strange. But back in August of 2019, Marvel and Sony briefly had a Spidey breakup, and Marvel left the project entirely for a bit. Now mind you, this was after Spider-Man was already introduced into the MCU, everyone was freaking out for like a month, including myself. Spider-Man is easily my favorite superhero of all time. I love him, I relate to him, he's fucking awesome. I would love to be swinging through New York on webs. And when I found out that Sony and Marvel had kind of had this breakup, they're not really doing Spider-Man anymore, I was freaking the fuck out. But most fans were on the same wavelength as well, and after a massive negative fan reaction, Marvel and Sony finally struck up a contract that was basically the exact same thing that they had before, where Marvel is just leasing the character and characters from the Spider-Man universe from Sony. Was the whole thing a publicity stunt? Probably. Something I want to talk about though real quickly about like just the past couple of years with Spider-Man. There's been all these videos that have come up online about Tobey Maguire coming into the MCU as Peter Parker once again from the Sam Raimi films. Some of the videos I used to watch were all like the "Gimme Rent" memes. Here, I'll play one real quick.
Give me rent.
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door!
Like, there's so many of those across the internet. They're hilarious. I love them. I love those movies. They were like some of my favorite films as a child. I love Sam Raimi too. Who doesn't like Sam Raimi? He's touched on so many genres. I mean, the guy's amazing. We're gonna get into why that whole side tangent was relevant in a little bit. You probably already know, but we're just gonna go through this chronologically. Filming began for Spider-Man No Way Home in October of 2020 in New York City, and the latter half would be filmed in Atlanta. No Way Home's premise reads, after Peter Parker's identity as Spider-Man was exposed by Mysterio at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home that came out in 2019, his life and reputation are turned upside down. Parker asks Dr. Stephen Strange to help restore his secret identity with magic, but this breaks open the multiverse, allowing supervillains from alternate realities who previously fought versions of Spider-Man to arrive. So during the production of this film, there was so many crazy fan theories about who the villains could be in this film. One of the biggest theories was that Kraven the Hunter would actually be the villain in this new film, something I would love to see fleshed out sometime in the future. Honestly, I know some people of the Spider-Man fandom kind of don't like him as a villain, but I think he's really interesting. He has a really cool motive of why he wants to kill Spider-Man. It's a cool character to me, and I would love to see it fleshed out. I believe Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 was supposed to feature Kraven the Hunter as the bad guy, played by fucking Ash from The Evil Dead, Bruce Campbell. If you don't already know, Bruce Campbell has multiple cameos throughout the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. It would have been sick to have a fourth movie where he was Kraven the Hunter Hunter being the bad guy. That would have been so cool. But I guess we'll just never see that movie now, which is kind of sad. But after all of this fan speculation, something absolutely crazy leaked. Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx were reported to have been on set playing their characters from the past Spider-Man films. Alfred Molina, of course, played Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 2, Dr. Otto Octavius, whatever you want to call him, in the Sam Raimi trilogy, and then Jamie Foxx was Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man, which was like the 2 Andrew Garfield films. Specifically Electro in just the second one, but there's so much to that. Like, it confirmed so much about this new film, basically meaning that all of the other Spider-Man films, meaning the 3 Tobey Maguire films and the 2 Andrew Garfield movies, would all be canon to the MCU now. It has since been confirmed that other villains from the past movies would also be returning, including Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin from Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man, Thomas Hayden Church's Sandman from Spider-Man 3, and Rhys Ifans' Lizard from The Amazing Spider-Man. So there's literally a villain coming back from every single Spider-Man movie before MCU Spider-Man. Now, of course, with all of that, you're getting the villains from all those movies. Are we also getting the Spider-Men from those movies coming into the MCU now? We're gonna get into why I don't think that's a crazy idea whatsoever. There's so much proof that they're in this movie. We're gonna talk about that a little later. I mean, they've kind of been teasing the whole idea of like the Spider-Verse happening in the MCU for a long time now. I mean, like literally they have a whole animated movie about it, which is arguably the best Spider-Man film. Another thing that is also kind of confirmed at this point is that Tom Hardy's Venom will be featured in this movie. It's not technically confirmed, but like spoilers for the new Venom movie, the after the credits scene is you see Venom transporting into the MCU universe, basically. That I just said universe twice technically, but you get what I'm saying. If you saw Venom Let There Be Carnage, you know what I'm talking about. Currently, Spider-Man No Way Home is scheduled to release on December 17th of 2021, making it the 27th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The cast includes Tom Holland as Peter Parker / Spider-Man, Zendaya as MJ or Michelle Jones, not Mary Jane, as I would have thought, Benicio Benedict Cumberbatch as Dr. Stephen Strange, Jacob Batalon as Ned Leeds, Jon Favreau as Harold Happy Hogan, literally one of my favorite characters, fight me, Marissa Tomei as May Parker, JB Smoove as Julius Dell, one of the most underrated comedians of all time, Benedict Wong as Wong, Jamie Foxx as Max Dillon, Electro, the character isn't blue anymore, thank fucking god, Alfred Molina as Dr. Otto Octavius, or Doc Ock, Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn, or Green Goblin, still showing off that cake, goddamn, Thomas Hayden Church as Flint Marko, or the Sandman, and finally Rhys Ifans as Kurt Connors, or the Lizard. The supporting cast for the film includes Hannibal Buress, J.K. Simmons, Tony Revolori, Angourie Rice, Jorge Lendeborg Jr., and finally Harry Holland, Tom Holland's brother, will be making a cameo in this movie as a drug dealer. Now the weirdest thing about this is that technically Harry Holland is playing the same character that he played in the movie called Cherry that also stars Tom Holland. He's literally playing the same character in both movies. So does that make Cherry part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I guess so. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige specifically said that this new film would be a Peter Parker story we have never seen unfold on screen before. Now I think he could be referring to multiple things, like the fact that we're dealing with a Peter Parker who is unmasked and known by everybody as Spider-Man. We've literally never seen that happen in one of these films before, which I think is going to be so cool to unfold in this new movie. I remember seeing the end of the last film, Far From Home, and just being like, what are they gonna do in the next film? That's so exciting. It could also be referring to the fact that it's going to be a live-action multiverse Spider-Verse movie. Wow, that was a lot of verses. Or maybe it's referring to the fact that there's going to be 3 Spider-Men on screen at the same time. Not confirmed, but come on, it basically is at this point. So of course, everyone in the fandom is freaking out. Is Tobey Maguire gonna be in this movie? Is Andrew Garfield going to be in this movie? Well, I can't answer that for sure, but I'm 99.99% sure these two will be making it into the film. Why, you might ask? Well, there are some leaked photos that I'm not going to put in this video because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but if you do want to see them, just message me on my socials and I'll send them to you. I've also seen a criticism online about how this film is basically just going to be pure fan service and not really have a plot or anything. But here's the thing, aren't most Marvel movies a lot of fan service? I'm not saying that's a bad thing whatsoever. If anything, it's a really positive thing. You're going to these movies and you get exactly what you expect. Amazing fan service. But this is taking that whole idea to a whole nother level. I mean, if they execute this right, this could be one of the best Marvel movies ever. Especially because so many fans want to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield just in the MCU briefly. Just to have all of them actually in the MCU. It makes all of those other films canon, and it's fucking cool. Like, it is so nostalgic nostalgic to see Tobey Maguire back on screen as Spider-Man. I watched him as a kid. I watched all those movies religiously as a kid. I mean, I went to go to the theaters like multiple times to see every single one, even Spider-Man 3. Don't y'all be dissing Spider-Man 3. The whole Venom plotline, if you take it out, it's a genius movie. And Andrew Garfield is a really good Peter Parker. I know that so many people like criticize those movies because I don't think they're written all that well or directed all that well, but Andrew Garfield is a really good Spider-Man / Peter Parker. I think he plays the role really well. Now that's kind of just like the history of what has happened so far, but in latest news, there has been like there's so much more to talk about with this movie. I could make like an hour-long video just talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, but I'm just gonna try to wrap it up with these last two things. As of a couple days ago, it was recently announced that 3 more Spider-Man movies would be in the works, featuring a Tom Holland Spider-Man in college. Now there's not a whole lot else confirmed about that, but if you want me to talk about those future 3 films, hopefully this video does well enough and I will. The other thing is that ticket sales went online yesterday for the film, and I guess Fandango recently reported that it was like the biggest pre-sale event ever since Avengers Endgame. So will this movie do better than Avengers Endgame, even though we're in a pandemic right now? I guess we'll have the answer in like 17 or 18 days, right? One more thing I want to say is that I just cannot wait to be in a packed theater again. All year I have been going to these horror movies and it's just like no one is going to see these things, which is so unfortunate. I'm geeking out by myself in a theater and it's like, really? No one's here, man. This sucks. But overall, I am just excited to be in a room full of people getting so excited about a movie again. I mean, I haven't felt that in so long, and it's like, it's one of the reasons I do this, and I'm just so excited that like I'm actually going to be like experiencing that again sometime. Overall, I am so effing excited for Spider-Man No Way Home. What do you guys think about this? Are you pumped for the film? Are you like gonna go there opening night? Do you already have your tickets? Because I know I do. Leave me a comment about it down below. Thank you all so much for watching my new video on everything we know about Spider-Man No Way Home. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror like superhero movie content. Yikes. Follow me on my socials and make sure to check out my Patreon. All of that is in the link below. Hit the little bell icon so you get notifications every time I upload, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all. Whoa, for the longest time.